grants today. We're going to be covering topics such as phase one and phase two environmental assessments. We'll also be talking about lead-based paint and or asbestos containing material surveys, as well as community engagement, preliminary planning, and redevelopment planning as well. But before we dive into the webinar content, what I would like to do is kind of go through and introduce some of the coalition members. But what you see here first on the screen, oh, I'm sorry, Tom, you, but the agenda that we have for today, before we get into introductions, again, we're hopeful that we will have a lot of you here today that find this information helpful and will help us deploy and utilize this $600,000 Brownfields grant that the Greater Williamsburg Coalition is a recipient of. And also we'll have detailed information of Draper Aiden Associates, who is the engineering firm who is helping us to deploy the grant. And we'll take you through a case study with Landmark Asset Services. And then also we'll have a presenter from Consociate Media who will delve into some innovative ways that we're using the grant dollars. With that being said, let's switch over to the introduction slide just to let you know who's in the room. Again, the Greater Williamsburg Coalition, myself, Vaughn Gilbreth. The members of our coalition is Michelle Mixner DeWitt, who's Director of the City of Williamsburg Economic Development. And on the call today, we do have from her office, Yuri Adams. We also have Chris Johnson, who is the Director of Economic Development for James City County. We also have Jim Noel, Director of Economic Development for York County. Julie Sums, who is Director of Economic Development, William and Mary. She is also part of our Greater Williamsburg Coalition, as well as Terry Benez, who is CEO of the Greater Williamsburg Business Council. Our other representatives and speakers that will be on here today, we have representatives from Draper Aiden and Associates, Tom Laughlin, who's Senior Environmental Project Manager, Felicia Fred, Senior Brownfields Consultant, again on the Draper Aiden and Associates team. And then we have Sam Sari, who's Vice President of Landmark Asset Services, who will be sharing a case study of how he has been able to deploy Brownfield grant dollars in his community. And definitely last but not least, our partner, Consociates Media, Stephanie Heinitz, founder and managing partner of Consociates Media. And with that, that takes care of some introductions that we have. What I would like to share is, again, on behalf of the coalition, back in, I believe it was June 2019, and when you look at this in pandemic years, it seems so long ago to say June 2019, but that is when the Greater Williamsburg Coalition successfully applied for a $600,000 Brownfields grant. And they applied to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency for that funding. And they were very successful. And we are very appreciative of the EPA having their confidence in our Greater Williamsburg community to deploy those funds to us and allow us an opportunity to make a difference with that. And I'd like to recognize Tish Corbett, who's also on the call, who is the Mid-Atlantic Regional Manager for the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, who is on the call today. Also, as we started up ramping up awareness about the 600,000 Brownfield grant dollars, the next smartest thing that we did was to actually go through an RFP process in October of 2019. And we actually selected through an RFP process the firm, Draper Aiden and Associates engineering firm, to actually help us manage this Brownfields grant. So that was like our next smartest decision, which is to bring them on as partners. So with that being said, I will turn this over to Tom McLaughlin. We do plan to keep the format very informal today. We encourage you, if you have questions, to ask questions along the way, or if you want to put something in the chat box, we'll be monitoring that. But again, we're just appreciative of you giving us 1 hour of your time. And I'd like to introduce our partner, Draper Aiden and Associates. Tom.
Thank you, Vaughn. So if you choose to participate in this program, you will get to work closely with Draper and Associates. Can you hear me?
Tom, you're breaking up a little bit there, just to let you know. You're breaking up a little bit.
Okay. Um, if you choose to participate in this program, you will get to work closely with Draper and Associates. We are a multidiscipline consulting firm with offices located throughout Virginia and North Carolina. And our two nearest offices to the greater Williamsburg area are located in Newport News and Richmond. So we're not new to the EPA Brownfields program. We have 48 years of environmental experience and have been highly involved in the EPA and DEQ Brownfield programs since 2008, assisting grantees all over Virginia and North Carolina. So we offer a wide range of services that can assist you with your Brownfields program, such as aerial drone services for 3D modeling, topographic surveys, laser scanning, and marketing videos. We also offer geotechnical and geophysical services to assist with locating underground anomalies, such as underground storage tanks, buried drums, utilities, etc. We can provide site engineering, stormwater design, structural engineering, which we've used a lot for this program to evaluate older buildings for structural integrity and for surveying services, et cetera. Again, we're a full service firm focused on brownfields redevelopment programs. However, Draper Aden is also an environmental firm. We have over 60 environmental professionals ranging from engineers, geologists, environmental scientists, chemists, and biologists to assist with your brownfield projects. So we can also provide asbestos, lead-based paint, and mold services using our sub-consultants through this EPA grant. So this coalition has all your environmental needs covered. So why are we here? The EPA Brownfields Grant provides funding for the City of Williamsburg to inventory, characterize, assess, and conduct cleanup planning and community involvement related activities for brownfield sites within the city, James City County, and York County, Virginia. So we're having this virtual webinar today because we want you to participate in this program. The coalition has funding available for your projects to assist with redevelopment. And with that said, I'd like to transition this discussion to Felicia Fred, who's a former EPA employee.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Vaughn and Tom. Just saying a little bit about my background and why I'm now here from EPA at Draper Aden. At EPA, I was the team leader for the Brownfields team for the Mid-Atlantic region, and also I managed several projects in the region, along with specifically many of the projects in the state of Virginia. I was the state liaison for the Virginia, so I'm very aware and work very closely with DEQ and the Brownfields program. So I'm very familiar with many of the Brownfield projects that are in Virginia. So I don't want to assume you guys know what a Brownfields is, so we're going to start from the beginning and tell you exactly what a Brownfield site is. Next slide, please, Tom. So brownfields are any kind of property, real property, that has not been expanded or redeveloped because of, I'm sorry, let me start over again. Brownfields is a real property with the possibilities to redevelop or reuse or expand its current use. Now that hasn't been done, next slide please, because of the perceptions that tend to cloud the possibilities of what a brownfield site could be. So in essence, a brownfield site is anything in your community that is being underused, not used at all, or just basically ignored because it just doesn't look like it's anything anybody would be interested in reimagining its use. Next slide, please. So these perceptions tend to are either perceived or they're real, and they're usually involve the presence of hazardous substances, pollutants, contaminants, or petroleum products. Think of a old gas station that may be sitting on the corner of in your community that's been abandoned, and a developer, someone's interested in turning it into a green space or a food store or whatever, and it hasn't been done because there's the thought that, oh, it must be really a bad place to to reuse or reimagine because of its former use. Like maybe there's underground storage tanks there. Next slide, please. So when you have a brownfield site, one of the things, there's a couple of things that you want to do in order to make it better, or if you will, to be able to reuse it and reimagine it for something else than what it formerly was. So you want to identify your brownfield sites. Maybe you want to take a survey or an inventory of the number of brownfield sites that are in a particular target area, your downtown area, or whatever. Then you might want to look at how many brownfield sites do we have. And that's really can be done somewhat like what we call a drive-through or windshield tour of your site, or just that there's several properties in your community that have not been that are being underused or not bringing any tax base into your community. After you've done your inventory, you want to prioritize. Maybe there's a site or two or three that that a developer has come to you or has an interest in reimagining or reusing that site. So you prioritize those sites, the ones that may bring that tax base back or someone is actually interested in it. You want to do an assessment, you plan for it, and then finally the renew is when your vision comes to light. Next slide, please. Vaughn's covered this quite a bit. So in 2019, the city of Williamsburg and its coalition was awarded $600,000 from the EPA for their Brownfields grant. It's a very competitive process, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Williamsburg got this on their first try, which is pretty amazing because it is a very competitive process. Next slide, please, Tom. As Vaughn mentioned, it was $600,000. When their work plan was negotiated, they decided to use the majority of their grant in the hazardous, and then also to put some money aside for petroleum. There's no match required in what, as Vaughn has said earlier, we're looking for you guys to bring some sites and some opportunities for the city, for the coalition to use their brownfields money in your community or with your property. And with that, there's no match required. So it's pretty much a free service to do the assessment and planning. Next slide, please. So what are the benefits? What we have seen is that there are a number of benefits that revitalizing or reusing a property, a brownfield site in your community will bring to your community. It revitalizes your local economies. Properties that have not been bringing money into your tax bases will now be doing that once they've been reimagined. They're transforming the unused and underutilized properties in your community, restoring environmental justice, fostering the reuse of existing infrastructure, and bringing job opportunities to your community. And what we've seen and what we do know is that many times, oftentimes, brownfield sites that have been revitalized and been reused leverage additional resources that will spur on the revitalization in a community on a much larger scale. Think of it as increasing property values, bringing a sense of pride to a community, and also to a city or town, bringing back increased taxes into your tax base. What we know is that Virginia has a very robust, unlike many of the states in the Mid-Atlantic region. Virginia has, DEQ has a program where there are a number of additional grant funds that can be applied for in order to leverage additional funding in terms of to see your program into see your vision to fruition. And I'll turn it over to Tom, who's going to talk a little bit more about, oh, no, sorry. Oh, finally, this slide is pretty much, we've gone over it. It's how Williamsburg, or typically how grants are use their money. They do site prioritization, environmental site assessments, a lot of community outreach is necessary, and redevelopment planning. So now I'll turn it over to Tom.
Thank you, Felicia. So one of our first tasks under this Brownfield Assessment Grant was to compile an inventory of potential Brownfield candidate sites located within an area branded as the Edge. And this is where James City County, York County adjoined the city of Williamsburg. Specifically, we identified 13 candidate sites within this project area for potential future redevelopment under the Brownfields program. So the candidate sites are to date either vacant commercial properties, undeveloped parcels, or developed parcels with no existing structures, except for maybe a concrete pad present. These properties have a historic operations, likely use petroleum or hazardous substances, so they made the inventory. Now this list can change and grow upon approval from the coalition, so we want to include as many properties located within the city and the counties as possible. This inventory, it's never finished. It will always be growing and changing. We do a wide variety of environmental assessments under this program. Therefore, we can assist your projects with environmental site assessments, asbestos surveys, lead-based paint surveys, mold surveys. We can also do abatement specifications in case you're considering demolition or remodeling. Also, as we discussed previously, we can assist you with structural assessments, geophysical surveys. We can even do historic cultural resource evaluations under this grant. And all of these services can access funds through the grant program. All the studies reports will be prepared by Draper and Associates on your behalf for use with your redevelopment. And just talk a little bit more about phase ones in case you're not familiar with those. An environmental site assessment is a report prepared for real estate holdings that identifies potential or existing environmental contamination liabilities. So the analysis, it's often called an ESA, typically addresses both the underlying land as well as the physical improvements to the property. So the actual sampling of soil, air, groundwater, or building materials is typically not considered during the phase one ESA. The phase one is generally considered the first step in the process of environmental due diligence. Now, if a site is considered or perceived to be contaminated, a phase two environmental site assessment may be conducted, which is a more detailed investigation involving chemical analysis for the hazardous substances and or petroleum hydrocarbons. So we have you covered if this is required, from the sampling analysis plan preparation to the drilling, groundwater well construction, vapor sampling and analysis. We've completed hundreds of phase twos under this program for the EPA and DEQ brownfield programs. So we can take care of all of this for you through this grant program. We can even assist with your remediation planning as well. We just finished a preliminary remediation plan for the city of Norfolk under its EPA brownfields program. So similar to areas within the city of Williamsburg, there's little to no green space available for redevelopment. So their focus has been on opportunities for infill development and revitalization. So the area we focused on was St. Paul's Boulevard Transit Site, which is located just north of the city's downtown. So the northern portion of the St. Paul Boulevard Transit Site will be redeveloped with the first builds under their Choice Neighborhood Initiative. So these blocks will include mixed family income units and mixed income units for seniors. So these are the same type of planning projects can be part of your project in the greater Williamsburg area. Now, how can you pay for remediation when the EPA grant won't cover that? So one option is to apply for a Virginia Brownfield Restoration Economic Redevelopment Assistance Fund, which is the VBAF grant that Felicia mentioned. VBAF site assessments and planning grants are up to $50,000, and you can receive a remediation grant up to $500,000. And they can assist with environmental cultural resource site assessments, development of remediation and reuse plans, the necessary removal of human remains, the appropriate treatment of grave sites, even demolition and removal of existing structures. Now, to be eligible for a VBAF grant, you have to be part of a subdivision of the Commonwealth of Virginia, such as a city or a town or a county. But if you participate in this program and you're working with one of the coalition members, you could fall into the eligibility requirements. So this year, Draper Aiden is preparing grant applications on behalf of our clients for up to $1.4 million in VBF grant funding. So this is a great tool that you can use for remediation as needed. And we can also use the grant money this way as well for renewal planning. So if you have a planning project in mind with a direct nexus to a brownfields project, please let us know how we can help you with the visioning, the master plan, site concepts, cost estimating, planning, marketing studies, etc. And to bring all this together, I'd like to turn this presentation over to Sam to show you how all this can come together and make a project happen.
Thank you, Tom. Hi, my name is Sam Sarai, and I'm the Vice President of Development with Landmark Asset Services. We are a third-generation, family-owned company based out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And what we're really known for in the industry is a lot of historic adaptive reuse projects, old mills, a lot of old schools now with consolidations, some hospitals. But in like Martinsville, we also specialize in what we call revitalization project, right? I mean, you look at this picture and, you know, most developers would look at that and run far, far away, right? So kind of the point of my presentation today is to explain how this is actually not a detriment if you're a developer, but you can turn it into a positive to your advantage. So let me slide through here. So to me, there's two people who benefit really from the brownfields. Of course, the locality benefits, I think they covered that really well. So I'll do that very briefly. I think the key is you're rehabilitating an underutilized property. And especially with brownfields, I found they're centrally located. So, you know, you have just an old building sometimes, in this case, in Martinsville, a completely burned down property with environmental concerns. I believe there we had lead-based paint, asbestos, a little bit of groundwater contamination. You know, also these properties are kind of hazardous, both environmentally and they're prime for vandalism, arson, etc. Let's see. Another benefit for locality would be helping the local economy. A ton of temporary jobs are created during the construction, and then of course the full-time jobs. And another main benefit I found that a lot of people don't talk about is the ability to reuse existing infrastructure. That is huge. And then benefits to developer. So this is where I'm more of an expert. Limiting liability to me is one of the biggest benefits. You know, I call a lender and I send them a picture of that property burned down, and they get very scared very quickly. So when you have the brownfields limited liability and the good number of studies and everything, that helps them get past that building block. Another issue specifically for Martinsville is it is an affordable housing project for seniors 55 and older, which is what Martinsville needed. So you avoid, you know, the NIMBY issues there, or, you know, not in my backyard that you get in a lot of places, unfortunately. Another key is forming a public-private partnership to do a brownfields project like this. Like I said, the number of developers right now that are willing to do this are fairly limited. And so I think it is key, if you want new developers or local developers to get involved, is that you offer this being a public-private partnership, both with sharing your studies, you know, offering to apply for grants on their behalf and funneling them through to the developer of the project as a loan. You know, you can get free state and federal money. He mentioned VBAF, which is a great source. In this project, we're using low-income housing tax credits, federal historic credits. I'm sorry, not federal historic credits on this one. I'm thinking the other one we did in Martinsville. But effectively, you can get free money to the locality and use this project as a match, which is, you know, great for the locality. So to speak about this one, this building was the former American Furniture Factory of Martinsville. And it burned down, I think in, I think 2006, maybe a little before, after then, but it's $8 million total development costs, $6 million in hard construction costs. You know, it's about $2 million in soft costs, that's normal. It will have 1 and 2 bedroom apartments, 52 units total. One bedroom apartments are very reasonable. They're $400 to $550 for a one bedroom and $450 to $650 for a two bedroom. We found a lot of seniors really like that second bedroom, even if they're living alone. It gives them, more space. And design features are great here, especially because we had so much local support. It'll be 100% Earthcraft Gold certified, which means the building will be incredibly energy efficient and lower the tenant's utility costs. It'll also be 100% universal design. So in addition to a traditional handicap unit, what you will have is every unit has features built in and sort of hidden, right? You're adding additional framing using special cabinets that can be more easily lowered, things like that. So if you have a resident move in and all the handicap units are full, you can then transition a normal unit into a handicap unit, which we found is used all the time. And then standard amenities, we have a manager's office, community room with free Wi-Fi for resident gatherings and general enjoyment, a business center with computers, fitness center, laundry facilities. And then outside, I love these. We do outside picnic areas rather than, gazebos used to be what a lot of folks did. And then the planting beds. This is one of my favorites because we'll go visit a property we did and you'll see, the seniors out there and they all get their own little corner and are planting what they love and eating, and it's great. And then, of course, in-unit amenities are pretty standard but high-end, all Energy Star appliances, ceiling fans, highly efficient HVAC. So the main benefit, again, I think, is if you're a developer that has not ever done this before, is this will help you get your lenders who may not understand it past the liability. It will also help you work with the locality to determine, one, what they need, which is incredibly important, and two, to leverage that money they've already gotten and spent to help you receive more funds. Because, on the Martinsville project in particular, I believe their commitment was $600,000 in environmental EPA grants they had spent, and we leveraged that to get $8 million. So that's really the critical component, is to leverage these assessments to understand the risk and to get more funding, which is, incredibly competitive. So when you can go in and say, I've spent $500,000 studying this, then you're pretty much a shoo-in to win.
Thank you, Sam, for that information. That was very, very helpful.
Thank you.
I want to pause real quickly. We do have a question that has come in the chat box. I'll pull it up because we did say that we wanted to keep this kind of informal and conversational. It's from Jared Chubb. Where can we view the list of properties deemed eligible for the grant?
Yes, that's a great question. The Greater Williamsburg Partnership has a Brownfields website landing page. That would be a great place to share these properties that we've previously evaluated. And I will get together with Vaughn and we can post that information to that website along with other pertinent information for the Brownfields program. And that'll be one-stop access for you to be up to date on what's available.
Hey, Tom, can you hear me? This is Jim Noel.
Yep.
But I think it's important for Jared to know that we can add properties subject to the coalition's approval, and that's not a difficult thing to achieve, right?
Yes, certainly. This is not static. And we're going to talk about some of the target areas we've identified in the grant application for consideration. But if you have a property outside of one of these target areas, it certainly can be included into the inventory. And I just encourage you to reach out to one of your economic directors for your county or to Vaughn herself, and then we can initiate the conversation.
So I won't belabor this, but I invited Jared to participate in this. He just purchased a building in the Edge District that they are renovating. And so it may be very germane, and that's why I suggested he participate. So
perfect.
Yeah,
I assume he wants to look into this deeper, and we'd certainly like to add his property.
I'd also would say too, to even widen the scope just a little bit further, is that if there's a property maybe you're not even you're interested in. It's not on the list. It's not part of in the target area per se, but it is in the coalition area. You can also check to see if it's available through DEQ. So there's a number of ways to just sort of check and see, is this property available, or is it something you're interested in? So like everybody has said, there's the list isn't exhaustive. You can add to the list based on your interests in wanting to see if it's available to use the funds. But you do have to go through the coalition to get permission for them to spend their funding.
Okay. And it looks like Jared has put here in the chat box, and we'll capture that, the address 537 2nd Street, but he is also interested for future investments as well.
Sure.
And Tom, I would also, I spoke with Michelle DeWitt with City of Williamsburg, but also as you're going through some of the targets, definitely feel free to share Governor's Inn, that
Yes.
project that has occurred. I think that would be very relevant to the folks who are on the call today, and to show how we were able to leverage that property into the Brownfields program as well.
Okay.
This is Tish Corbett. If I could just add, I'm the project officer for this grant with EPA.
Yes.
And I have grantees all the time, come to me and say, we got a developer interested in this property, it wasn't on our list initially, can we move on it? And we make adjustments all the time. We want to, if anybody has a developer interested in a property, we will try to facilitate as much as we can. So yeah, in the initial proposal they submit that gets chosen for a grant fund, and then there's a work plan developed, they do list out target areas and sites, but it's not an issue. If you've got somebody interested, we want to help you as much as we can. Yeah.
Thank you, Tish, for that comment. And I see too in the chat box, and this is going exactly the way I would like, where it is very conversational and informational. Stephanie Hines, who's going to speak later, has posted some information on the Edge District, which is also within one of the Brownfields areas. So we'll turn it over to Tom and let him take us into some of the targets.
Sure. So the target areas identified, I'll go through one by one. Of course, the work would need to be done within the city of Williamsburg, James City County, and York County. But for the application that was submitted to EPA, the coalition wanted to focus on certain areas. One area is called Lightfoot. It's York County's target area. It includes Lightfoot and its north, adjoining James City County, and includes large vacant tracts associated with the old Williamsburg pottery, which represents lost opportunities for income, job creation, and sales and property tax revenue. So if addressed, could be reinvested in revitalization projects. A second area we focused on is called Tab Lake. So it's a second target area that lies at the southern end of York County, near the border with the city of Newport News. So this area is along Route 17, and particularly near the intersection of Route 171. And it contains underutilized properties, including several large auto salvage yards, which detract from nearby residential areas and limit area development in this gateway. The next area is the Grove. This is a key target area for James City County redevelopment, is the unincorporated community of the Grove, roughly in the center of the greater Williamsburg area. It's east of the James River and separated from Newport News by Skiffs Creek, and a portion of the Grove also extends into York County. And then the last area is the Edge. The coalition envisions an entertainment zone in this corridor to attract new investment. The coalition hopes to increase tax revenue, expand access to family attractions. Existing retail and restaurant venues in the area also will benefit from the infusion of investment in the Edge District. And Vaughn mentioned the George Washington Inn, which is currently used as a
Governor's
hotel
Inn.
within the Edge District.
The
Governor's Inn.
Governor's
Okay,
Inn. Governor's
gotcha.
Inn in Williamsburg.
Gotcha. So we use the funds for the Governor's Inn as well to assist with demolition. That's a rehabilitation project where they're going to raise the existing hotel, which is no longer functional, and build a low-income housing unit. And we're assisting that developer with their asbestos surveys, their lead-based paint surveys, and doing a abatement specifications plan. So certainly some great things coming to the Governor's Inn area as well.
Yeah, and a little background on that. That was a property that was owned by the Colonial Williamsburg Foundation. And that was a project that the developers came in and purchased that property. And thanks to definitely with Colonial Williamsburg Foundation and Williamsburg EDO was able to learn about the Brownfields grant. And so we were able to deploy those dollars. And I have to put on my economic developers hat and say affordable housing versus the term low income housing.
Okay, that was off the cuff.
Well, we know you're an engineer.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just to share a little bit of background as to how a property can already be moving along in the different avenues, and then they find out the Brownfields grant and can come in and leverage.
So I'm going to stop sharing the screen so Stephanie can step in and talk about her great work with the Edge District.
Thank you, Tom. Hi, everybody. I'm Vaughn. Can you give me a thumbs up and let me know if you can see the website okay? Excellent. Well, hi, everyone. And I know Vaughn introduced everyone earlier, but I'm Stephanie Heinitz. I'm with Consociate Media, and we've had the incredible pleasure and a whole lot of fun doing some of the fun consumer-facing storytelling part of helping bring Brownfields areas alive, specifically with the Edge District, which was part of this grant. Just for a little bit of background, the work that we did with the Edge District was met with businesses, met with residents in the area, met with the economic developers, and really worked to figure out and understand who and what the district is. It's thriving, it's new, it's modern, it's on the edge of history, on the edge of innovation, definitely on the edge of 3 localities. And we worked with everyone to build a visual brand and a brand identity around the district, which is what you're seeing in my shared screen here, which is the recently launched landing page, small website for the district. That is, we call it sort of a phase 1 because this will continue to grow and evolve. Some of the benefits for the businesses in that district is that we now have a central place to promote everybody in the district, the rising tide philosophy. And the whole program, the whole marketing strategy was built around that idea that if we can promote it as an entertainment destination, then we can really start to drive people and consumers down to the area. Some of the areas that we were inspired by and some of the businesses were inspired by include the branding that was done for RVA up in Richmond. If you notice, the logo for the Edge is very simple and has been provided for anybody who needs it to utilize in their own marketing efforts. Also very inspired by Scott's Addition up in Richmond and what they've been able to do in sort of the redevelopment and rediscovery of their area. One of the other things that is really exciting, and I love that I get to go last and talk about the forward things and the fun stuff. But as part of this grant, we also put together another grant application through Virginia Tourism to get funding not only to build the marketing persona and first locations, but to also develop some actual campaigns to drive people down to the area. And the Edge District did win some grant funding for that. So the grant that the whole project started on is actually continuing to grow because it got additional grant funding to keep it sustained. What I have put in the chat box, this URL for everybody who's attending. And I really encourage everybody to go and look at it, look at the site, give us some feedback. There is a contact form where you can submit information about your business. We are really committed to sharing the information of what's going on in the district. Because again, like I said before, the more the merrier, and the rising tide philosophy is definitely one that we took to heart in the developing this campaign and developing this marketing program. One final thing, as I'm getting sort of toward the end of the homepage, is just to let everyone know that there is also a video project that's underway. The header of the website, for example, will start to be replaced with video work, but that was something that we were able to do also with Draper Aiden as a result of some of the grant funding. And all of the assets here have been provided and offered to the businesses to utilize in their own efforts. So we're really excited about where we're at. I've joked a few times with the businesses and the economic developers through this whole process that it was really interesting to develop a story and a persona around a lively entertainment food-driven destination in the middle of a pandemic. So we had to be really creative about how to showcase that. But because this is a living area, it's going to continue to grow and evolve. We're really looking forward to everything continuing to do that alongside it. So new pictures, new imagery, new campaigns. And in closing, I'll just say, please stay tuned to it. Share this website. Send us feedback through the website so that we can promote your businesses. And let's just keep growing it. So I will pause there for questions, or Tom or Vaughn, if there was something I didn't cover that you want to make sure was included.
Well, thank you, Stephanie, for that update. And I will share that as a result of the work that Consocius Media has done on the website, we actually had our first business to fill out a contact form indicating that they were looking for properties in the Edge District to open up a business there. So, you know, it is definitely working, and the branding campaign for the Edge is spreading. And also what I would like to share is that the 3 localities that I work with, York County, Jim Noel with York County, Michelle with City of Williamsburg, Chris Johnson with James City. But we actually, when we started this coalition and we were brainstorming about the properties and what to bring to the table, and I believe it was all communities agreed and very collaboratively that the Edge should be included. And then Jim came to the table and he says, well, hey, you know, we're thinking about this Edge District and how to market it. Do you think we could use the Brownfield dollars, you know, for that? And then from that standpoint, you know, between Tom and myself, we reached out to Tish, and, you know, you closed mouths do not get fed, you know, ask the question. We were trying to look at innovative ways that we could leverage these Brownfield dollars beyond just very engineering technical surveys. And the EPA was they're like, yes, that is something that you can do with these Brownfield grants dollars. So we're very proud of that, the innovative way that we've been able to deploy the dollars here in the Greater Williamsburg Coalition, and hopefully showing other communities across the nation, you know, how they can do so likewise. So I just wanted to kind of tell that backstory. I think it was important. And also the fact that we have a business that's actually looking to locate in the Edge now, which came out of all those conversations. So there you go. With that being said, I'm going to pause and just ask everyone, if you're comfortable, put your, you know, your pictures back on, and let's have some questions or conversations going for the panel that we have here today.
Yes, I would like to emphasize what Vaughn just had said. The Edge District was a great way to think outside the box. And I'm real proud with the way that project turned out, and it's still continuing to grow.
Jared, if I may ask, when are you looking to locate to the Edge?
Well, we've already purchased that building on 537 2nd Street, and it is currently under renovation, and we're looking to move in probably the first part of May.
Oh, excellent, excellent. And would you like to share with the group, because not everyone is from different areas, but a little bit about your business?
Sure. Our business is Parkway Print Shop. Sorry if there's some loud background noise. That is our screen printing process. We print custom t-shirts. So we're really excited to get over to the Edge District. We are going to have a small retail area in the front of our shop, but we work with a lot of local businesses and organizations printing custom t-shirts. Yes, that's pretty much. We also offer embroidery services, and yeah, super pumped. So I was able to work with the York County EDA on the property, and Jim's been a great partner of ours. I really appreciate him and his efforts in the whole process, and very excited to join the neighborhood over there.
Very good. You're here at an exciting time, that is for sure. And we definitely do not mind the sound of the screen shop operating. That means you're operating and business is ongoing. So that's a good sound to hear. I also see, I'm going to call out a few folks, some folks here from Guernsey and Tingle. And with architectural firm here, located in James City County in Greater Williamsburg, and happy to have you all on board. But I'm happy to see you all here because I think the relationships that you have with the developers community is important. And if you thought that you heard something here today that you might be able to bring on as a value add to your clients.
Hi, this is Stephanie Calentarians. Thank you, Vaughn. I'm with Guernsey Tingle, and this is great timing for this. I actually had a client reach out to me yesterday looking to possibly pursue this grant for one of the projects that we're working on with him. So I guess my question is, what's our best point of contact representing the owner or client for next steps?
Mm-hmm.
Who should we talk to?
I would say you can reach out to both myself and Tom, but Tom is definitely going to be your subject matter expert in the sense of understanding where the technical expertise, and I'm more kind of just making sure that we're getting the word out about the Brownfields grant, the project management aspects, understand what properties are enrolling within the pipeline. But Draper Aiden Associates is definitely, we're very happy that we've partnered with them to manage this grant for us and serve as our engineering firm. So they're going to definitely have that technical expertise.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yes, I know Steed well, so I will email Steed and he can forward my email to you.
All right. Very good. Very good. Are there any other questions that we have from the group? Going once, going twice, going 3 times? Okay. Well, I would like to close out and just thank you, everyone, for participating today. And I'm going to give you back 12 minutes of your day by ending this call early. So there you go. And again, please reach out to us if you have properties that you think there's, just reach out. Let us know if you have properties that you're not sure about. Let us explore it. Don't you rule it out. Let us explore in the localities who are part of this partnership in Williamsburg, James City County, York, and many of you know them by Jim, Michelle, and Chris. Definitely feel free to reach out to any of us.
Hey,
and we're
Vaughn, before you leave, Jared,
Yes.
do you want to stay on the line for a minute and talk with Tom about next steps if you want to get engaged in this?
Sure, sounds good.
I could save a bunch of emails and phone calls if you could hang on for a few minutes. Tom, you good?
Yeah, I'm
No,
good. I'll stay on.
good. Mhm. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. We look forward to hearing from you.
Thanks, Vaughn. Thanks,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, don't
Nice
end
to
the
see
meeting, Vaughn.
everyone.
I'm not ending the meeting, Jim.
Thank you.
All right. We got a few
Oh.
more.
Jared, you might want to unmute. There
Yep.
you go. And I thought, that's why I emailed or called you. I don't remember what I did about this meeting, but thought you might be interested in. I didn't know, based on where you are in process, if there still may be some of these resources that would be applicable. But it's no problem adding your property, to the
Yeah.
ones that are being addressed here.
Well, we've done some work already, so I don't know, like we've paid for asbestos testing. We actually just last Friday did some remediation in some paint that was on the walls. So as far as that hazardous aspect of it, I think we've cleared that already. So I don't know if there's opportunity for reimbursement for those projects that's been completed. That would just be, I guess, my one question about that.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't reimburse you for work already completed.
Yeah.
All work that runs through the grant program needs to be pre-approved and authorized by EPA first. So unfortunately, the timing didn't work out this time for this project.
Okay, yeah, and I mean, I assume that, and so, I mean, it's just something if we decide we want to do anything additional to the property, down the road, I mean, we'll definitely explore that. Yeah, I mean, I don't, unless Jim, you can think of something else that we might be.
No, and
that we
I'll be the
brainstormed.
first to tell you, I'm glad the EDA is giving you some grants because I'm kicking myself because I probably just cost you some money here by not letting you know about this sooner. So that is clearly on me, and I apologize.
And maybe I'll run into some hiccups along the way and come back and find you.
I'm so sorry. I should have thought about that. With the age of that building, lead-based paint was,
Yeah, I mean, to be transparent, we were probably in it for what I just discussed, about $7,000. So,
well, it would have been 7,000. We could have saved you. So
Yeah.
I apologize.
you can help me out on some equipment down the road.
You're already into me pretty good, Jared. I'm glad we're giving you a grant too, because it makes up for this a little bit. So I don't know, Tom, would there be anything downstream?
For his case, perhaps marketing of the property with the website for the Edge District. When you have your front, I don't know where you are in the renovation project, if you have your signage up or not, but we can certainly try to incorporate your property so it's front and visible when people are viewing the website.
That'd be great. That'd be very good. Yeah, I mean, and Jared's been very active. He does a lot of work with Virginia Beer, and I don't know who else you're working with in the Edge.
Yeah, Casa Pearl's a good client of ours.
Oh, right.
Virginia Beer, I'm actually heading over there tomorrow. We're going to talk about a beer t-shirt release for when we move in.
Cool.
And then something I'm probably going to want to talk with, maybe the EDA down the road is we're really going to be trying to drive traffic to the building by giving away free t-shirts to tourists and locals that come in. And we'll be selling merchandise also. But just marketing that to drive traffic to that area, as well as, I don't know if we're going to be able to do it, but I'm going to try to get an ABC tasting license so we can pour local beer, and then hand out a kind of like a beer tour map, or direct people right down there. So we're really going to be looking to drive traffic to the area. So maybe that's something down the road we can look at.
So yeah, you saw Stephanie Heinitz, who was on earlier.
Yeah.
And, do you know her?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, she would be the one to kind of, I think, coordinate with some of the, make sure she's got some of your information and photos ultimately as well to.
Well, let me ask.
Weave that in. Go ahead, Vaughn.
No, I was just going to say, especially, and I know Jim will help us stay connected with the opening, but that is something that we really would like to play up, is your grand opening in the Edge District.
Yep.
So I think that's a great opportunity. And the final comment I had was that I saw in your question in the chat box, you said 537 2nd Street in future investments. So if you're looking at future investments as well, keep this Brownfields grant, just compartmentalized there.
Yeah, we just got to clear out some of those businesses that have all those really cool buildings on 2nd Street that are filled with tire shops and seafood markets and turn them into lounges.
Yeah.
Well, Felicia, I have a question for you. With your EPA experience, could the grant fund be used to purchase T-shirts with the Edge logo that we could pass out to promote the district? Would that be something appropriate?
But it would just depend on how you worded it, I guess. It's a stretch. They've spent money. I got to stop saying we because I'm not with them anymore, but we have EPA has used some of their Brownfields money for signage, like to say this is an EPA funded project or whatever. In my time there, we never bought T-shirts.
Just thinking outside the box, but okay.
Worth a
Okay.
shot.
That doesn't mean it can't happen, but the whole point is that it's not to directly benefit, someone directly.
Okay.
So, but
I
if
think
but there may be ways to, like, for marketing purposes, maybe there's some signage that you could kind of direct people to. So it might be a different way to do it if you,
Mhm.
again, think outside the box, but
Okay.
not actually benefiting.
I think that's a great idea, Tom. Actually, with the new logo that Stephanie, has for the Edge District, that would be a way cool thing. And we do have a little bit of money that the 3 EDAs put in, like $6,000 for the Edge. I'll talk to her about that. I like that idea.
If you went to William and Mary, every college kid there would grab a t-shirt and most likely they would wear it. So that'd be a great target audience.
Well, I was thinking, you could have the Edge District logo on one side and then a lot of the businesses on the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
maybe an EPA logo, just kidding.
No, well, you know what? If it's done correctly in your QAP, you could, again, it has to be worded right, but then that's why you have me. So there may be a way to not for the t-shirts. I don't think that would ever get approved, but definitely in some marketing tool, you may be able to do it for some signage.
Well, maybe
Tom's
Draper
been-
Aiden can help.
Yeah.
We'll think about it. Yeah. See what we can do.
Tom's been hanging out, he's an engineer, but he's been hanging out with us economic developers and marketing people. So it's rubbing off, it looks like.
It's rubbing off on them.
Yeah.
So, Jared, you have to make sure you get the logo, the Edge logo from Stephanie.
Yeah, that's no problem. And we do some work for her husband too. So it's we have a good relationship with them.
Marker 9 or?
Yeah, we're printing pretty much all the Marker 9 stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Felicia, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Hope to see faces live and in person one day.
I
Yes,
hope
one
guys.
day. One day.
All right.
Thanks,
See you
everyone.
later then.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.
Good
Take
meeting.
care.
Thank you very much.
I'm gonna
I
end
know.
the meeting now, Jim.
You can leave now, Vaughn.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Vaughn. Take care.
You too.